the Wakeful asks, Dear Jonathan, could you explain the practical difference between the exclusion of the outside on the one hand and the differentiation between the marginal and the inside on the other? How is the marginal excluded from the center without being designated as fully outside? So you could say that ultimately there is, like, let's say metaphysically, there is no truly outside, right? There is no completely outside. And so even the desire to cut off the margin is an illusion. It doesn't actually happen. It doesn't happen. So those that try to do that, those that are trying to fully cut off the margin, like I keep saying, is because you can't do it, what you end up doing is the dragons end up building up in the forest, and then they come and get you, right? There's a good example of that in Shrek. Although I'm not a big fan of Shrek, I did make a video on it. I'm not a big fan of Shrek because it's an upside down world. But in the movie Shrek, you see this where King Farquaad wants to remove all the monsters and all the legendary creatures and all the fairy tale characters from the forest. He wants to remove them, and you can't do it. And so it ends up with him being eaten by a dragon. That's how it ends. That's how it ends if you try to fully cut off the margin. It just doesn't happen. And so there is a kind of, if you understand that a cutting off in the sense that there is a normal cutting off in the, right, like a door to your house where you close the door and you keep certain things, outside in a relative sense, then that is a normal thing to do, and you have to do it. Everybody does it. The margin does have to have a relationship to the outside in a relative manner, and that's the difference. It's just about understanding also this buffer between the inside and the outside, and being able to engage with the outside in a healthy manner. But engaging with the outside in a healthy manner doesn't mean that sometimes you don't have to kick the margin out. Like, it happens, if someone, if like, you can, for example, help a homeless person, and you can help them. You could even have a place for them. In Quebec, they called them beggars benches, and every house would have a beggar's bench on the porch outside. And so when the beggars would come, then the people would let the beggars sleep in this bench, would open up, and there'd be like a bed inside the bench, and they could sleep in this beggar's bench, and the person from the outside would bring them food and would help them. And so it's like, but then if a homeless person came and then broke your door open and walked into your house and went into your fridge and started eating your food, then you would have to eject that homeless person from your house, for the safety of your children and for the safety of your house. So it's not like there isn't a moment where the margin has to be engaged with a kind of ejection. Sometimes it does, but you also have to be careful that you also need to see in the margin this mystery and this potentiality that you also have to care for to a certain extent. Hence the beggar's bench. Hence the idea of the stranger who is ultimately an angel.